I wasn't gonna watch Squid Game. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up a picture.
See the new background here?
I was trying to pull up a picture. I didn't have time to set up the graphics and stuff like. Oh yeah, you switched your background. Oh okay, I see what you're saying. I was trying to set up mine so we could talk about it. I saw Squid Game. I just finished it a couple of days ago, and I was fixated on the fact that I wasn't gonna watch it. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not. People were recommending it to me, and I was thinking, okay, is this just because what's that pop group that's popular now from Korea, BTS? Is this just more BTS fans trying to get me into what's going on? But I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the trailer and I saw what it was about, I was like, holy this. Now, usually back in the day, like movies like this or TV shows like this, that we get an American version of it. This does not need that. I have a theory on if they're gonna do a season 2. I already know they are.
Well, yeah. Did you see the article I sent you?
No, I did not. I don't read I don't read your mail. What did you say?
Cold, man. No comp. I'm not going to compliment your eyebrows now.
What happened? Was that they already greenlit a season 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, they. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I sent it to you. If you want to throw it in the little box and put it on the screen, it's on the Facebook chat. But basically, it's the one from Forbes, where it says. Squid Game 2 season 2 story news straight from the director. So it's just saying because it's viral, there's most definitely going to be a season 2,
right?
But the director doesn't have any solid plans for it yet. He's like, I don't know what direction I want to take it. I mean, I felt like that's kind of odd given the way it ended. The way it ended, it's like there's definitely got to be a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, the way it ended, and for those of you who don't know, we'll talk spoilers about this too. So if you haven't seen Squid Game, we're gonna spoil some stuff. The way it ended, to me, I didn't think it made any sense. Like
I didn't like a lot of it, but I get like it's a good what's the word? It leaves it open for a really cool type of sequel. With a completely different direction.
Yeah, I mean, the fact when I was in the middle of watching it, when I was seeing that it was a bunch of people that were trapped in a space, and they were fighting for money and things like that. And they were going to play these weird games. I instantly I was telling my wife when we were watching, I was like, I'm telling you, this is not a movie about some millionaire or one billionaire who's hired a whole bunch of people and brought these poor people on these islands to fight or whatever. I said, no, to do something at this level, you have a team of billionaires helping you with something like this.
Especially if they actually give out the money at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So it's like, no, this is not one billionaire or one millionaire masterminding this thing. This is a team of sickies that of billionaire sickies. You know, you got Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and them. They're all in on it. So
it's the Illuminati,
which is technically the Illuminati. And I was like, that's why at the end of the season, when they showed, those other billionaires who were there at the end of the watch the game end and stuff like that, I wasn't surprised that most of them were like rich white Americans and things like that. Some from the South and stuff like that. They didn't speak Korean, so they weren't really subtitling it. They were speaking English. I said that made perfect sense, because if it leads off into a season 2, now our quote unquote hero who's trying to expose the Squid Game people is going to try to go off into maybe he's going to go to other countries where the Squid Game is probably being is happening in other places. But we'll immediately talk about the end. That's where everything to me fell apart. You're a brand new millionaire, a hero of our series. What the hell do you think you're gonna do with your new, $20 million after he gave half to the other people?
Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna do against these billionaires who gave you this money?
Yeah.
You're not gonna do a damn thing.
I agree. That's where it all falls apart. It's like if these guys control the world, they control global markets, they
Yeah.
control everything. I
Your
mean,
your hands are too, your arms are too short to box God, is what I'm
yeah,
thinking.
you're going to be the next Epstein, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like
That
I mean,
whole that whole thing at the
those
end
are the
about I'm
people
gonna
you're fighting
expose you. It's like you're not. No, you're not. They're
even
gonna watch as you try.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so what I'm predicting, well, or at least what would make it interesting, if I was writing it, I would have you because you never actually saw the cop die, right? He was trying to send off the cell phone thing. I'm assuming,
Oh yeah, maybe
not
he
not, not
lived.
not
Yeah.
not not assuming, but that would be interesting to have him live, and then um, have him have been kind of watching from the shadows, and then team up with with them,
Yeah.
with him, you know, and then
With all that evidence that he collected. Whoa, well,
supposedly
not.
if it got sent off, you know, I mean, otherwise he, you know, phones don't really do well in water.
Right.
You know,
I mean, it depends. I mean, the whole time he was running away, the phone was uploading the data. So
hopefully, yeah,
so
hopefully.
it's only hopefully if he got if the signal was
So yeah,
was going out.
maybe I mean the only way it would be feasible is, let's say the signal sent off, all the videos sent off to his chief of police, and you know, assuming that the police can't be bought off, but let's say that, you know, so let's say somebody, I mean what I was saying, I'm like why is he sending it to the dude? Like, put it on Facebook Live or something,
Exact.
or you know,
A place where they really can't.
yeah, a place where it can't, like, it doesn't just go to one person and he's
unless
dead,
unless
you know?
Mark Zuckerberg was one of those people behind the mask. And based on
Yeah,
what we've
but
been seeing on the news, he
he
probably could have been.
yeah, he should have uploaded it to, you know, Facebook Live and YouTube,
YouTube and all that stuff.
and you know, I mean, given he's running, you know, trying to run up a mountain and do this stuff, so it's like, okay, would he have even been able to do that? He was just trying to send it off to the first person, you know. So hopefully the police, his chief or whatever, got the information, and then maybe they're running a case with Interpol or something. You know,
You feel like that could open up what for
that, I mean,
season two?
that would be the only way you'd be able to fight against these guys is
Is
with,
if you had the evidence.
if you had the evidence and you had the governments involved, you know. Otherwise, just, you know, even a cop and a millionaire versus these guys, like, you're both dead in 20 seconds, you know.
Yeah.
A couple snipers will take care of that.
It will be tough because, like, so if you don't know, so a bunch of people who were, like, they had a lot of financial ruin, a lot of debt in Korea. They were collected and they were brought into this, like, this what's that movie where crime is legal for 24 hours?
The Purge.
The Purge. They were brought into this Purge,
I mean,
like, scenario where they have to they kill each other, and then the last person who lives gets you know, the money at the end of it.
Well,
Now,
have you seen the movie Battle Royale?
I know that, I heard it is based on that. I heard about it, but no, I've never seen it.
I thought one of the reasons I wasn't gonna watch it is I thought it was just gonna be a ripoff of Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. But it's similar, more similar premise where it's like they're all taken to this place, they're all controlled, and they have to, in Battle Royale, the game is just, they're all given different weapons and they have to kill everybody until one person's standing.
Right.
Which is kind of how this one ended, although they weren't told that from the beginning. They're just told
There was a moment where that was one of the games. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Survive the night kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about Squid Game is that they went through a lot of the different games that they went through, and the fact that it was with the way it was controlled, the way it was masterminded by the these billionaires. The one thing I thought was mostly interesting was from episode 1, when they voted to end the game and everybody left, and the number of them that came back. I would not have been one of the people who came back at all, but it did not surprise me about all the ones who did come back.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me was the most fascinating thing about that series, was the number of people who volunteered. Like, I know you're killing people, I know this is life or death, but it's the same. If I just come back out here, I could probably die tomorrow. But at least in this game, I have a chance to leave with this money. I thought that was fascinating.
I was torn because I'm like, in that situation, would I have gone back? Like,
I know I would.
if I had known that it was going to be,
Life or death.
well, not here's the thing that I was kind of debating about. I'm like, the one thing that I might have got hung up on and not have gone back for would have been if it, because there's no guarantee that anybody's going to survive the games. In fact, it could be rigged because
Exactly.
the only rule is if you survive all 6 games, you get the money and you split it with whoever's left, right?
Right.
But like we saw at the end, it was kind of rigged so that there was only, one winner out of it, which uh, but they could have rigged it in such a way that the last game was unsurvivable.
Right.
Unsurvivable.
They-
Like the one where they're jumping on the glass, that was pretty damn near close.
They made it. You're right. They made it seem like there could be multiple winners at the end that could split the money. But what it really was, what it was always going to come down to one.
Yeah, which I mean, it could have been because the Squid Game in the beginning was 3 versus 3, and so there could have been a winning team, a losing team, but they killed off so many people in the last, in game 4 and 5, that it came down to that. But I mean, either if you look at it from a financial perspective, either way, if they are giving away that money, it doesn't matter how many people it's going to. They're giving away the same amount of money.
Yeah.
To see people die in this spectacle, right? So to me, it's like either I would feel like, okay, there's gonna be winners and they're gonna give away the money, or if they're really smart investors, they're going to make the game unwinnable and just be like, well, the money was there as an incentive to get people to fight to the end, but in the end we knew nobody was going to get, or they could have just like been, I mean, because if they're the type of person to get off on that and to set this thing up, why wouldn't they be the type of person to just be like, okay, well, congratulations, you won the game, but we're still going to kill you.
Exactly. And
that's
right.
what I would have done.
I assume, and I had the same thought in the middle of it when I was watching it. But when the lead guy who was in the gray mask and whatnot, who was above all the people with the squares, when he killed one of his own workers because of the fact that when he said that speech about, I don't care that you were making little money on the side, harvesting organs and doing what you were doing. But the thing that pissed me off is that you messed with the integrity. That was the moment when I was like, because I had the same assumptions that you. I thought it was rigged, where they're just going to dangle the carrot, but they were never really going to give the carrot to anybody in the end. But the second that moment happened, I thought, they're serious. They will give the money to the winner. And then when the cop who infiltrated it and found that there were files, not only files of all the people who've played, but there were files of actual winners. I thought, oh wow, okay, they are really gonna honor their what they said in the beginning, and that to me made the story more interesting, because I had the same feeling. How do we know that this isn't just some sick game, that's the same money that y'all dangle every time, like every time y'all do this, and nobody ever really gets it? But when I realized, holy shit, somebody really is gonna get that money and they're gonna honor it, then my whole attitude about the series changed. But that's why at the end of it, I was so against our hero for wanting to expose these billion. Like, these guys can afford to just make a millionaire out of somebody after they, did what they did to them and murdered a whole bunch of people from doing it. You're not. I mean, dude, you have a daughter to think about. You're now financially in a situation where your ex-wife and trust me, I guarantee you, his ex-wife that didn't think he was shit through the whole series is now thinking about getting back with him now that he's a millionaire. I guarantee it. I guarantee
it. If she even knows. I mean, she may not even know now because she's been living.
She knows. There's no way in the world, because I couldn't wait to throw it in her face that I'm a millionaire. You took my daughter. You're living in the States now. I think season 2 is going to happen in America. You're living because I think that's the setup. You're living in America now with my daughter and stuff like that. I couldn't wait to throw it in her fucking face. I would fight for
but
custody and everything.
wasn't he? I assumed they didn't tell you where he's going, but I was assuming he was getting on the plane to go visit his daughter.
Yeah, he's gonna visit his daughter
because it never. Well, because I mean, the deal was,
and then he turned around to try to fight.
Yeah, so he's not going to America yet.
That's the major flaw of that character.
To me, that's where I was like, this ending's stupid because he goes there. Well, so he goes there. His motivation is his family.
Yeah.
His motivation is his mom's not cancer, his diabetes.
Yeah.
He
lost his mom at the end of it.
Yeah. And then
he goes back and fight. Dude, these people, they put you through hell, but now you're a millionaire. Just shut the fuck up. You're not going to take these people down. Focus on your daughter and move on.
I completely agree. Well, because they didn't force anybody. Everybody
exactly
volunteered to be there, and so if anything, you should be mad at the people.
In the beginning, they did trick them. They suckered them in.
But after that, they came back.
After all the people that died and exactly. When they saw it 100% what this really was, that was it.
Came back.
If you came back, I have no sympathy for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
This series changed my perspective and my assumptions and my feelings towards the victims and all that within the first like 3 episodes. It was brilliant. It was brilliant the way they did it. Because at first I was like, these are all victims. They were all lured and suckered in with money, knowing that their living situations.
The people who died in the first game were victims.
They were 100%
because they said vague, you'll be eliminated from the game. They didn't tell you elimination meant death. You know, so those people were victims, and all that blood is on the organization's hands. But once they came back, they knew that they were playing a life and death game. Now, they didn't know how unfair the games were going to be necessarily, but they knew. And so one of the problems I had, or one of the things that kind of left me scratching my head, is the game where they played marbles and they were tricked, into competing against who they thought was going to be their best partner. You got the husband and wife pair, you got the 2 friends. Why didn't they use their voting power on that game to skip that game? Like nobody.
From what I remember, the voting power. If the majority votes, just like in that first episode, when the majority votes,
nobody even called a vote.
If the majority votes to end the game, didn't they say that you can end the game, you leave, we won't mess with you, but that money goes to the dead, and therefore it doesn't go to any of you guys who quit. It goes to the dead, which is why a lot of them came back. It was like, to them that felt like the money was being wasted, because it was they said in the beginning, because I remember catching that on that first or second episode when they said that you guys can vote to leave. But and they said that, and they said if the game ends like that way, like if there's a winner, then this money goes to these winners at the end of it. But if you guys vote to quit, then this money goes to the families of the dead. And that's what pissed them off, and why a lot of them came back, because that, to them, in their minds, that money was being quote unquote wasted.
I don't remember them saying the money went to the families.
It went to it was divided.
When did they say that?
It was that same episode when they voted to end it. They said that.
Well, I thought he was saying that if we leave, because you're talking about how the guy was like, I'm gonna kill myself, and then he comes up to him and he's like, listen to what you're saying. Your wife is already dead. Leaving's not going to bring her back. But I don't think
that was towards the end. But no, when they were voting whether or not they were going to leave and stuff, the people who were voting to stay.
Okay, so that was a previous episode.
They were on that episode when they all voted whether or not after everybody was killed with red light, green light. It was I'm gonna have to watch it again, but I'm pretty sure.
I think that was episode 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in episode 2. That was one of the stipulations. The rule number 3 says, if the majority of you decide to leave, we will let you leave. We will not harm you. You get to go home. It ends. But the money gets divided amongst the families of the dead, which would be a very small amount, because a lot of people died, and we're talking about going to like the next of kin. It would have got diluted so much where it would have been like maybe a good couple of months for a family member for no reason. But
I'll have to look that up because I thought the money I just thought nobody got the money.
No, I might be wrong, but I think if I remember correctly, they said
subtitles.
They said I used to hate subtitles too, but then I got up. But if I remember correctly, they said that it was gonna, if you quit the game, then that's money. Like, cause I thought, okay, well, what if we just quit the game? Maybe the whatever's left in that pot would get divided amongst the survivors who voted to quit. But for sure, nobody would get money. That was another, to me, that felt like another tool to frustrate them to come back, because
the money was always an incentive for the winners. So, it's like you're only getting this money if you win the game. But regardless of that, the whole marble situation, I'm surprised that nobody asked for a vote, because they were all traumatized after that, because they knew half the people were going to die. They knew that they were competing against their friends, so their friends not going to have a chance to win. I feel like they, especially the husband and wife pair.
Keep talking. I'm gonna put you on full screen. You might not see me, but I can hear you. But keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the husband and wife pair, you're not even listening right now. So the husband and wife pair, for those of you who've seen the show, for me, if I was there and I was there with my wife and I knew that one of us, because of the game rules, one of us was going to die, I would have asked for a vote, but nobody asked to end the game, because they could have ended it and then gone home and then tried to come back later. The ones who wanted to participate, and maybe would have had a different game. So, yeah, I was surprised that nobody used their voting power during that instance. And then he brought it up. The main character brought it up again later in another episode, or at the very end, he wanted to use his voting power to end the game. But I'm like, man, if you're going to use your voting power at all, no. You didn't hear any of that, did you?
No, I heard you talking about, because the husband and wife.
Well, so I was saying, if it was me and I was there with my wife or whatever, and I knew that because of the game rules, one of us was going to end up dying, I would have been like, this is where I tap out,
exactly. And that's what I was thinking. I was like,
nobody.
That means when they voted to get out, that means that husband and wife both voted to come back. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
But they both came back. But I mean, think of the games they had played up till then. They played a game where
the wife, didn't the wife die from after the marble game?
That's what I'm talking about. That's the one where I'm saying I'm surprised nobody on the marble game. I'm surprised they didn't take a vote on the marble game. Because that's the one where I'm like, if I know that half the people are going to die on this game, and that specifically I'm teaming up against somebody, the other person in the world that I care most about, then I would have called for a vote. And I feel like a lot of the other people in that game would have been like, hey, well, we feel tricked, and we don't want our best friend to die. So
that was the brilliant thing about that round, because everybody thought that they were probably pairing up because of this might be another physical game, this might be another this or that and the other. Everybody was, when they picked their partners for, and obviously the husband and wife, they were going to pick each other because they knew that they could trust each other. But it was a perfect scenario to pin people against each other. It was an instant way to take out 50% of the remaining cast.
But I mean, so in that situation where you find out what the game is, you find out what the twist is, what would you have done? Because I would have been I remember the rule about voting. I'm gonna vote to.
I don't think it would have mattered at that round. I don't think it would have mattered, because they were pretty much the only couple that was there. I don't think anybody else would have cared.
But everybody else was paired up with somebody that they valued to some degree,
maybe, but not to the extent of those two.
Yeah, but I mean, I still would have. I mean, if anybody was to vote, I feel like I'm surprised that couple.
I see what you're saying.
Speak up.
I would, if I was them.
That's what I'm asking. What would you have done?
You're right. The same thing you're saying. 100%. If I was them, yeah, I would have been like, hey guys, can we talk about that voting thing?
Yeah.
But I would have been 100. But and then
Well, and that would have actually been a good part to the story, is to have them call for a vote, right?
they would have
lose the vote, and then
that would have
they
been
have
perfect.
to compete against each other, because then it's like then he could have been, then him hanging himself may have made a little more sense, because he could have looked around him and been like, all you motherfuckers made me play this game,
made me kill my wife.
You know
what would have been the messed up thing about it is. It was like I'd have been like, if I was one of those motherfuckers that he was mad at, I'd have been like, dude, like now you're just mad because you have survivor's guilt because you caused your wife's death. She could have easily, what if she'd have beat you? I'm like if she would have won and then he'd have died, what if she would have won the whole damn thing? You don't know. You don't know what would have happened. She could have been the one to win the whole thing.
Well, but I mean, like, I don't know if, assuming they had kids, like, maybe they didn't have kids. I was like, if they had kids and he hung himself, that's some bullshit.
To have a husband and wife there, I'm gonna assume they probably didn't have kids.
Did not.
I'm gonna assume they did not, because.
But a lot of those people had kids.
A lot of them did, but
yeah.
But usually, I mean, but a lot of them were like, just like our hero. They were in a situation where they were divorced. And they had something to prove for that kid. That's the motivation to join. But a couple, I'm like, usually in that situation, like you know how couples always are like, let's not travel together, because if a plane crashes, then our kids are orphaned. But if one plane crashes, then they'll still have the other parent. They both chose to go together. So I'm assuming, because
I'm gonna have to assume they don't have kids.
I'm gonna assume that they don't have kids, because I would think that the wife, at the very least, the wife would have been like, fuck no, didn't you see all those people getting shot and die? There's no way I'm gonna go back to that thing and risk not, our kids not having parents. The wife, at the very, I can see the husband being like, come on baby, let's try. But the wife, no way. I don't see the wife going back. I don't think they had kids. I don't think they did.
But either way, his response to winning, like, to be so devastated by it, to hang himself, I'm surprised. If that's how bad he felt about it, why wouldn't he have tried to bring a vote to the table?
That would have been
and
that would have been
that would have been good, because then it would have been like, well, he tried, and everybody else was like, greed. Nope. Yeah, people are, because the point they tried to do at the end was, when the dude's laying in the hospital bed and they make that bet about the homeless guy, he's like, do you trust people? Do you trust that humanity's good, that anybody's going to help it? That would have brought you back to that moment where it's like, you knew that this couple was pitted against each other. You knew that you were pitted against all your, people that you care about, people that you pick closest, and yet you motherfuckers still chose to continue the game. That would have like really driven that point home
for him to commit suicide. Yeah.
Well, not just for him to commit suicide, but that people's greed is oftentimes more powerful than their love.
I honestly, and I know what you're saying, but to play devil's advocate and put my mind into my head, because I could empathize with what would probably be going through my head if I was one of those MFers who didn't give a damn about them. And look, hey, I can understand one person, these individual people who saw all that killing and decided for themselves to come back for whatever reason. Y'all were a couple. There was at least one extra opportunity for some common sense to talk you out of coming back. But y'all both, as a couple, decided to come back. Like, fuck you guys. You guys, you saw all those people get shot and y'all both still decided to come back. So, like, no, y'all came back. Like I would have been like, this is just me being the asshole. If he would have tried to stir up that pot, I would have been like, you thought that because you were a couple, that you had a mental advantage over all of us who are forced to try to make friend relationships and alliances with these strangers that we don't know. That's why that's another thing that probably made y'all come back, because y'all thought y'all had a mental advantage, which you kind of did until the marble game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I was just one of those regular folks that they would have probably been complaining about that too, I'd have been like, no, screw you guys. You're just mad because these sicky billionaires have come up with a round that cut your your alliance, your little thought process. It knocked it out. It knocked it out. That game, those games turned out to be 100% fair from beginning to end. It eliminated all types of possibilities of cheating or gaining advantages. It really I mean, it didn't matter. In some games, it didn't matter about how weak you were, how strong you were. Smarts, and like the old man proved it. I'm like, he wasn't the strongest person at all, but because of his knowledge of tug of war was the only reason why his guys survived, because of his knowledge.
See, that was actually one problem I had with the whole thing. With the twist at the end. I don't. Do you want to talk about the twist? Quick?
I predicted that he was in on it from the very. I didn't think when he supposedly died after the marble round. I thought, well, there goes my theory. I was like, wouldn't it be funny, because usually stories like this end with a crazy twist like that. Like, wouldn't it be funny if the old man was in on it the whole time? But then I was like, oh well, okay, well, he got killed with the marble thing, and I never thought about it since. But then at the very end, when we saw that he was in on it, then I made myself remember, oh yeah, but we never saw his body.
I didn't. So when you first met him and he was 001, I was like, there's something about this guy, right? there's got to be there because there's some significance to being the first person, the number one. But I didn't think that he was like the leader of it or anything. And so I quickly forgot about that. And then he, supposedly dies. And then I didn't think about it. So that twist actually caught me by surprise. There were several things.
That was the brilliance of it.
Yeah, several things we predicted, like the brother being the leader, like the cop's brother being the leader. That was something that we predicted. There were a couple other things, man. I'm trying to.
I thought the brother was going to turn out to be just one of the winners who just had a new life somewhere else.
I was like. We're like, that would be a twist if his brother was in charge, one of
those guys.
And I was like, he'd have to be the head guy, because if he was just one of the guys in the pink or purple suits, and his brother was to find him, he'd still get killed by the leader. So I'm like, the only way the cop could make it out alive or have any chance of making it out alive is if his brother was the one in charge. Because that guy called the shots.
But do you not think that the brother who was running the show, who turned out to be the cop's brother at the end, do you not think that he was one of the original players and winners? And then
that part I didn't see.
I think because I was in that room where the cop detective brother was found all those names and those files.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think his brothers was one of the winners. I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again, but I might be wrong. But I think
his brother was one of the winners, and
brother was one of the winners.
It showed that
he got his money, but then he was convinced
decided to come back.
He was convinced to, hey, we gave you this money, so salary isn't a problem. I need you to help run. You know how this shit works now. So will you come back or maybe they didn't give him a choice. Maybe they were like, we gave you this money.
We will kill you.
We'll kill your family. Like we like your mentality. Run this organization for us.
I don't think it was forced or coerced, because he seemed pretty committed. Like
he seemed very committed.
When he caught the guy, the doctor and all those guys, and then had them killed, his line where he's like, I don't give a shit if you guys are making money on the side. I care about the integrity of this game. And then
you're right. He really cared.
He said, I don't know if it was that same scene or a different scene where he said, this game out there, life is unfair. This is the only place where everything is quote unquote fair.
Yeah.
For these guys to make money. I was like, okay, this guy believes.
He became he became a believer. Big time.
And so I think my camera's off. So that right there, I was like, I wonder if this guy played the game, and that's why he cares so much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't make the connection that he was one of the winners until they showed him in there.
But to care like that's to me makes him as a villain, makes him that much. I feel like in every movie or TV series, the best villains are the ones who feel like what they're doing is right. When they feel like in their heart that they're doing the right thing.
Well, because
He
in real life, that's what real life villains are. Real life villains
they all
generally
yeah,
believe,
they all think they're the
like,
hero.
yeah, like if you go to any Genghis Khan, Hitler, anyone you could consider to be a villain, they thought that they were morally justified most of the time.
Yeah.
They were committed to a cause. They thought they were in the right.
Hmm.
But then they lose, and so history writes them as the bad guys.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Or,
you're
or,
right.
or the winner writes them, but
The history is written by the conquerors. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, but all the people on the losing sides felt just as committed, as the winners did, or otherwise they wouldn't have been fighting for most of the stuff.
Here's a funny thing that's happening. Like on like one of the things that threw me off. Like this to me speaks on how brilliant the old man was throughout the whole thing, because he was at that mentality where he was so bored of his life and everything that he's
Mm-hmm.
done and stuff. So he decided to throw himself in as number one in this
Mm-hmm.
game, this very deadly game, knowing the whole time the risk and all that. And you could see, like, he explained himself, like he's like, I'm like, to feel alive again and have fun. He was really that's what cracked me up about
He
the
was
old man.
enjoying
He
it,
was really
especially.
fucking enjoying it. It was
Well,
crazy.
yeah, the first scene when they do
The red light, green light game.
like
He was
you
happy
you
as
assume,
hell.
yeah. So you knew his backstory, and so you're just assuming he's crazy. He's this crazy, like you're assuming he's out of it, kind of like
Yeah,
like
I
like
thought he
like
was
the
just
like the
reliving his
dumb.
childhood or something, but he was doing a lot more.
Well, it's like a lot of comedic relief is they make you got to have one kind of dumb person, right? Who acts funny, but it's funny because they're kind of dumb or oblivious,
Yeah,
right? And so he seemed just kind of like the I'm smiling as I'm playing this game because he doesn't really fully grasp what's going on, but then it's funnier looking back and being like he completely grasped
everything.
everything that was going on, and that's where the smile was coming from. The smile wasn't coming from like he's oblivious thinking he's living his
Like
childhood marble
yeah,
games.
thinking he's
his
senile.
his
Yeah,
his genuine smile was like he's the mastermind of this whole thing,
yeah.
which makes him just like you go from seeing him as being one of the most genuine, pure,
Characters.
innocent people
Yeah.
in here to being
To be
like the
the most
devil.
sinister, the most
Yeah,
and yeah, like you said, the devil and stuff, and still somehow I was still able to understand him. It was
relate to it. Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy. It's like he said
Well,
he
he's
said that
real.
yeah, he said that the one thing that people without money and people with too much money have in common. Yeah, like he broke all that stuff down.
That part I thought was bullshit. That
You,
part I thought
do you
was
remember? I'm
completely
paraphrasing.
bullshit.
I was gonna paraphrase,
Yeah,
but do you remember what he said? What did he say? Again.
yeah. So yeah, the whole premise I thought was bullshit. It's kind of like people to me who, um, I don't know if you've ever worked with anybody who they want to be at work all the time, and when they get time off they're like, I don't even know what I would do with my time off. I'd be so bored if I had to sit at home all day. Like to me that's kind of what his argument or his reasoning reminded me of. I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, if you're the type of person where you get time off and you're so bored because you don't know what you'd be doing other than being at work, I can't, I could to
That
me
that
to me you seem like a boring
that's an
like
implication that you
person.
have too much money or something like that. All right.
Well, I mean, to that, so that kind of person in the real world, like to me, I'm like, that's just a boring fucking person. Like, if you're telling me you get free time and you can't find anything fun to do, whether it's watch a movie or read a book or write a book or take
Yeah.
some classes or enjoy time with your family, like, what kind of fucking person are you that you can't enjoy time off, that you're sitting there at home and you get bored within the first day of being off? Like, to me, I could be on vacation for the rest of my life if I knew I had money, and I'd be totally happy and I would never get bored because I'd always have something to do, whether it's helping myself learn something, whether it's doing something creative, making music or art or whatever, or so his argument at the end is like, these people have all this money and they get bored. I'm like, well, that's your fucking problem. You're just a shitty person at that point, because like if it comes down to the end and you're like, well, I have too much money, and I mean, first of all, like, just in Houston there's no way you could go out and eat every day at a different restaurant and you'd probably never eat everything
Yeah.
that there is to eat. And that's just eating. That's just one activity. There's so many different activities and things you could do in life with those kind of resources. And so they chose out of boredom to just watch people die in horrific ways. Why couldn't you be the type of person where you get joy out of helping people instead of doing
And
that?
and
Just like,
and in a sick, and I know exactly what you're saying, and I feel like in a sick way,
there are people like that.
He was actually. I feel like in a sick way, his character was doing that because
Well, he felt like that with the winner.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
yeah.
Well, if you break down 100% what they were doing, every sick thing that they were doing for their own personal entertainment, like those other billionaires, the Southern guy who was trying to get with the detective and stuff.
Yeah.
These are guys who, at their core, are used to never being told no and all that stuff. Like you can tell that this was a guy who, in the States, he's a man's man. He has his wife. He has his image and stuff. But now that he's flown overseas to Korea, now he's talking to how an attractive male and like that whole scene. When he was being flirtatious with that undercover cop and stuff and saying, if you do this for me, maybe I'll let you live, blah blah blah. I can already tell 100% because I've seen guys like this that was a scene of a guy who in public and in the States, his image at home was 100% the opposite. Like entertaining like a same-sex relationship and all that stuff. That's not the image he was probably portraying out here in the States. But now that but over there in secrecy and all that stuff, with having all the money in the world, he was free to do whatever he wanted, whenever he want, to whoever he wants. And I think that's what with the old man, I think that was the thing. Like I feel like at the core, the old man who created the whole Squid Game thing thought that he was doing something good, not only doing something good for one person who would win the game, but he probably felt also they were probably convinced that they were also helping their country's economy. They were getting rid of all these people who were in debt, putting them out of their misery, stop being a drag, I guess, on the economy, and then because and in exchange, turn one of them into a millionaire, so their conscience, I guess, would be clear. I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of ways that they could justify it, but
yeah, but then my argument would be like, well, they'd have to be some of the dumbest people on the planet if that's the best way for them to find.
Well, they were bored.
Yeah. So I mean, so what it really comes down to, because there's a million ways they could have given out that prize money. Yeah. Right. There's a million different
but they chose the shitty, nastiest, grimy way to do it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they wanted to see people die and suffer and go through these horrible competitions and lose people they care about. Like that's what they got off on. And I know there's people out there like
it was probably about control, because every winner, just like the cop's brother, he was one of the winners and he became one of the believers. They knew that after going through this trial of fire, in the end of it, you probably wouldn't turn on us. That's probably those. It was probably a big sinister plot.
But I mean, just to me, like for that to be like that was his big explanation of the why behind it. Yeah. And I'm like, that's such a bullshit explanation, because, I mean, yeah, there is the type of person out there. Like going back to the work example, like, yeah, I know that there are people out there who, if you give them a month off of work, they go stir crazy, sitting in their house, they get bored, and they want to come back to work after a day or two. Right. Like I know there's people out there, like, because I've met them, but there's also a lot of people out there who you give them time off and they're gonna stay occupied with their time for the entire month or whatever. You could give them years off and they would never get bored. And so they're saying like these people with all these, like he was, so his comparison is like the thing that the people with no money, with not enough money and too much money have in common is they both get bored with life or something, or they're not satisfied. I almost feel like that's one of those arguments where people are like, well, money doesn't bring happiness. And it's like, yeah, that's bullshit, because money solves a lot of problems and a lot of people would be a lot happier. And I almost feel like that's one of those lines that rich people want poor people to believe, so they don't fight for money hard enough. Yeah.
I mean, his argument wasn't money. His argument was being in a situation where you have so much money that the word no doesn't even exist. Like
Yeah.
there are rich people in the world who still like penny pinch and save and clip
Yeah.
coupons and stuff like that. Then there are the mega rich who were born that way, and that's all they know, who act like assholes, and they're like, well, hey, homeless guy, why couldn't you just be like me and just be born rich? What the hell's wrong with you? Like people who just don't get it because they but that old man knew what it was like to be poor and knew what it was like to be rich, and then created that game. And then I just think that old man was just at a point where he just felt like, oh my, I'm lost. I've gone too far with this, and he was just ready to end it all. And like he just probably just wanted to come up with a clever way to. I think that old man, when he got cancer and nature was like, dude, you are an asshole who did this and created this crazy thing. So karma gave him that brain tumor. I think when he got that brain tumor, I think that was when he realized, this is probably my karma for starting this whole messed up billionaires Squid Game thing. And so the best way, if I'm gonna go out like this, I'm gonna go out with a bang. I think that's why he entered himself into it, because he realized
but if he thought it was karma, you think he would try to like that would be an awakening where he would try
to end it.
Well, he would have to realize and admit that he had done something wrong. He didn't feel like that at the end. He felt like he felt like the ultimate thrill was still the game, and to the point where like he was going to be there to watch it with them. But then he was like, you know what? After competing, watching it's just not the same. Like it was still the ultimate pleasure for him to be a part of those games at the end. So he didn't see anything wrong with it at the end. And then he justified it through saying, well, you know, if you have too much money, you just eventually get bored, because I mean, what are you going to do with all that money?
I don't know. I feel maybe he was.
There's no way I could go volunteer at Habitat for Humanity with my time. You know, I got to kill people.
That would be an interesting avenue to try to because it really begins and ends with that old man. To dive into that old man's psyche. That's why like that character, especially when that twist revealed that he was the mastermind behind the whole thing. It made him. He was interesting from the beginning to the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he turned out to be the mastermind, he became even, to me, 10 times more interesting. It was like,
oh yeah,
you created this. Like it could be one of two things. Either he created this monster because he believed in it in the beginning, and then at the end he was like, I don't believe in it anymore. So I should. So to punish myself for creating this monster, I should be destroyed by this monster. And then he winds up. Here's the part where I agree with you. I feel like here's the part where I don't sympathize with him. If he really was feeling guilty about the monster that he created, because
he would have ended it.
He would have allowed that employee to shoot him when he lost that marble game, or when he quit that marble game. But he probably told that guy, point your gun in the air and just fire it, because you ain't shooting me. Like fuck that.
Yeah.
Like so it became, I don't know. It could be one of two things. He probably just wanted to just see what would happen with his new friend, or he just died. He still was a monster through and through.
Well, because what he said was he told the guy, he's like, I let you live, and he did, because he played dumb, playing like he didn't remember if he said odd or even. So he let the guy lie to him, and then revealed that he knew that the guy was lying to him at the end, and being like, he's like, but is it fair that you cheat an old man out of da 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 da? And then, but hands him the marble anyways, right? He put the star of the show through
that emotional trauma, making him feel guilty for taking advantage of an old man.
He loved it.
Knowing the whole time that he was in charge of the whole game.
Yeah, that's what makes it so interesting. I don't think he felt any guilt at the end.
Yeah,
I think he loved it until the end, and because he was smiling about it, he thought it was a brilliant thing, and then he, like at the end, there wasn't any guilt, and he was trying to explain his reasoning behind it, hoping the guy would understand that. Well, hey, we're just like you poor people, except for we have the same problems. We're just on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know.
I feel like he was like he was a dude, because at the very end, even at that very last moment where he was trying to play that one last game, like, will I live longer than that guy out in the street?
Like that's what drove him was the suffering of people and gambling. And so because the whole
Or
game was gambling too. Like the rich guys were all betting on the race horses,
yeah,
and that's the example he used at the end. He's like, well, you like racing horses, right? You guys are the horses. So he was trying to bring it around to him, be like, look, I'm some rich dude sitting in the stands running a racehorse sort of thing, and
instead
I'm
of
still
using
betting.
horses, I use human.
Yeah.
There's so many ways you could. That's what makes that old man so fascinating, because there's so many ways you can interpret it. It's like if you ask a hardcore liberal like PETA type of a person, in a way, he brought all of that down. Like I hate the way you're treating all these helpless, defenseless animals, and now you know how those helpless, defensive animals feel now, because this crazy rich man brought you down to that horse's level. So now you know, Mister. I think oh, woe is me. I have debt, and I have my problems here and there and the other. But yeah, but yet that defenseless animal isn't in that situation and whatnot, and y'all still gamble on them and bet on that defensive animal. And so I think, like, in a way, you could say that a hardcore PETA person would be like thanking that billionaire for bringing that mentality down to, okay, now you know how those horses feel, because now you're the horse, or something. Like, there's a whole bunch of ways you could justify it, or he's a sick old man. There's a whole bunch of ways where you can play devil's advocate with that. That's why I find that old man character so interesting. You can defend him and you can easily blame him at the same time, and all of it is correct, in my opinion. He was so complex. He probably thought he could have been a monster who later was consumed by his karma, or he could have been a person who thought he was doing something good for his community, or I don't know. I would accept any answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to rationalize evil, and I feel like that kind of, I don't, and that's what I was saying. I think his explanation's bullshit. I think his reasoning's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other ways you could get the same results. There's if it's out of boredom, there's so many things you should be able to do as a human being, especially if you are in that class of human being.
Yeah.
Like, you're running complex organizations. You have the computing. I can see really dumb people, getting bored easily. But it's hard for me to see a really intelligent person being able to justify getting bored easily and not having a good solution
to the point where you want to hunt.
boredom.
Yeah, to the point where you want to hunt people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
what do you think that started?
To,
what if you were to guess? When do you think? How the hell do these billion? At first it has to start off in a private conversation. They're drinking and smoking and laughing. Wouldn't it be funny if we just hunted these poor people or made them fight it? Like, it had to start as a joke somewhere in these conversations, and then somewhere down the line it became too real. Like Biff, are we really doing this? Are we about to kidnap these people? Yeah. Our lawyers say that we're good. like it's crazy. Like where did this shit start? Like,
that would be an interesting thing to do, either in the next season, or a separate thing is to do the backstory of the rich guys, to show them in their personal lives. Because, like you're saying, that with the Southern guy, you're like, well, I've seen people like this, and he's probably leading a double life, where back home people think he's the saint. And I mean, you could really say that about most really quote unquote evil people who've done despicable things. Those people all have mothers, they all have family that love them, they have friends. Like you don't get to stay in a position of power unless a lot of people like you. I mean,
or fear you. I mean, I feel no matter what it is, you could be a janitor or you can be a billionaire. If you are in a situation where the word no isn't heard as much, as anybody could become corrupt. If you could be the purest of heart, but once you, as a human being, once you learn that you can get away with this, I push this boundary, I got away with it. I push this next boundary, I got away with it. Once you start seeing that you can constantly get away with stuff, then I feel like that a little bit of a drip, your morals or your morale, or your humanity starts to
that's the whole power
fade away.
Power corrupts.
Yeah,
absolute power
corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, any evil dictator, world leader sort of thing, even people that we don't see as evil, a lot of them do really evil, shady things, but they justify it
Yeah.
as they're doing the right, or they're doing, because everybody's, you can use the terms good or evil, but I really just view most people as just self-interested,
It's just it's just
but
opinions.
but they view their nuclei, who they're benefiting, differently. So it's like when you have different countries that go to war with each other, right?
Right.
Both
Both sides think they're in
both
the
sides tell themselves that they're the right, and in a way they are, because they're both fighting for their families, for their land, sort of thing.
If there was a planet,
whatever.
if there was a planet on another universe, another Earth, an Earth similar to ours, where murder was legal and all these crimes that we say that are illegal, but on their planet it's all good, it's all game, and that's their world and they love it. Hey, to us that's wrong, but to them, they're right and we're wrong. So it's like I agree with that statement. There is no right or wrong. There's only opinion. I mean, if the reality is that whatever this law that we passed is the law, and everybody agrees with it, I mean, that's just it. It's we could find a world where wearing shoes on our feet to them is considered the ultimate sin. But over here on this planet, in this reality, it's like, dude, I'm putting some shoes on. I don't want to step on a nail. It's all opinion. There is no right or wrong answer. Shoes are good, or going bare feet could be good. It's just, it all depends on the person. If my metaphor made any kind of stupid sense, but
no, I mean, you have that even on our planet. Forget traveling to other planets. You just go to different cultures, different religions,
nudists.
And you look at yeah. I mean, you look at the different rules, or even take like one religion and travel back in different time periods, and what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. Depending on what time you're living in. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like these rich people in the show, these billionaires, like they. It would be interesting to see their home lives and their backstory, because you would see them as the loving parent, right?
I guarantee you that
Papa Bear.
I guarantee you that guy that tried to have sex with the who he thought was a waiter. I guarantee you at home he has a wife, kids, he has a reputation.
Yeah,
he's probably a preacher for all we know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And that's what I'm saying is that those people do exist in reality, and they do things like that in reality. They like travel to other countries to do stuff that
they know they won't get caught over there.
Yeah.
I've seen it when I worked overseas, and
Epstein.
Yeah, Harvey.
Perfect. That would be the type of people running this.
Epstein or Weinstein, which was, but
Epstein. Weinstein was the director.
Yeah. But I saw a guy like that. I remember seeing a rich guy out in Thailand. It was he was hand in hand.
That's one of the places to go.
That's one of the places to go. I've been many times. It's another topic to talk about.
Well, for that specifically,
I got some stories. Yeah, I got some stories. But I saw a rich guy. I think maybe he was from England or something like that. But I could see he was like walking hand in hand with another man out there, and I don't know his story. For all I know, he was an openly gay man, out on the stroll with his husband or with his lover or whatever. But odds are, based on the conversations that I had out there while I was out there, odds are he was a straight married man who was on vacation, getting away from his reality to live his truth in secret, in a place where he could get away with it.
He wasn't straight. He was just closeted.
He was just closeted. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and I heard those stories a lot. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, yeah, Chris. A lot of men who are whose their reality is nuclear family and all that stuff out there. They travel when they get away from their family. They travel out here to live their fantasies or their truth or whatever, and it happens more than you think. And I was like, man, that's. I would be fascinated to in a season 2 or something to dive further into the other people that are involved with the Squid Game. And
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, so what I like about the whole Squid Game idea. Let me see if I can go full screen real quick when I talk about this. what I like most about the whole persona about the Squid Game is the fact that there's no way of knowing who's all involved. Like that whole thing at the end about him saying like because our hero of the story was he told his history that he goes on strike to fight for what's right. He lost his job and he was a justice warrior, and even in the end he had to be that, and at the expense to compromise the gift that he was given. Like now you really have the means to take care of your daughter, to not be in the lower class of society in this country anymore. This is it. You've made it. You've gone through this hell and you came out the other side. And it was still more important to him to fight, because he just seems like a kind of, that was the problem with this character, or the brilliance of this character, of how well this show was written. Even because I guarantee you the majority of the people who fought in that Squid Game would have taken that money and ran. But he was the one dude who won the whole damn thing and was still at the very end was like, I gotta keep fighting something. The star of the show was still one of those guys that were like, he was a justice warrior. He had to keep fighting something. And that was the one thing that threw me off at the end of it, because there's no way in the world that if I would have fought through that whole thing, that I would have had the balls to go up against those. I would have taken my foot, because I did the conversion rate. He won about $38 million. Mm-hmm. I would have taken my money and
take the W.
I would have walked away. They would have never heard a peep out of me after that. I would have just been like, I'm done. There's no way in the world. Maybe on my deathbed, maybe I would have wrote a book. Maybe. But that's about it. Well, what do you think about like if you were to speculate on a season 2, what would you look? Because to me there will be a season 2.
There's gonna be a season 2.
Squid Game is about to be, if it hasn't already crossed the line already, it's about to become Netflix most viewed, most popular series of all time.
Did you see that? Did you see that graph I showed you? Can you pop it up on the screen?
Let me see if I can.
It's gone viral. It is the most popular. Like they had The Witcher on there. They had what other shows they have?
They said it was on path. It's going to overtake as the most popular series of YouTube. Like at first it was Bridgerton. Now it's about to be Squid Game. Join.
Here it is. Yeah, Squid Games. Yeah, so they had The Witcher, Tiger King, and then Squid Games was just like, whew, like I don't know if you can see this.
I'm looking for it. I can't find it. Hold on, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. I think I heard a knocking at the door. Hold on 1 second, real quick.
Sure.
Oh, they got it. Never mind. I thought I had to answer the door real quick. No, I can't pull it up. I know I saw what you were talking about, but yeah, but that was a discussion that Squid Game is now if it hasn't already taken it, it is about to be, or it already is, the most popular Netflix series on Netflix. So, yeah,
because the second closest one was Witcher, and that was like 50. I'm guessing million or something.
Yeah.
And this one, the graph maxed out at 100, and Squid Game was up at 100.
Yeah. But yeah, so that
which is interesting for a show that has subtitles, because I almost didn't watch it because of the subtitles. Like honestly, I was like, I don't know if I can, if I want to read, like not just a movie. So I thought it was a movie. I thought, okay, I can do a movie with subtitles once. And then I saw it was a series, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to watch a whole series that's subtitles. And then just kind of ended up watching it one day, and I was like, oh, it's pretty damn good.
I'm kind of proud of us as Americans now, that because that was that for years, for decades, because Hollywood in the entertainment industry, America is in the lead of everything. We run the show, but I think we've become more of a diverse, and maybe the pandemic also helped this along too. Our way of thinking about being willing to open our minds up to other storytelling. I think that's another reason why the movie Coco for Pixar did so well, another thing. I think this new generation, our current generation, and the generations in the future are now more open minded to, because I grew up in that. I'm Generation X. I grew up in that mentality too. I wasn't gonna. This movie is subtitled. There's no English dub version. I'm not watching that shit. I was
But
like
not
that
only
too.
that, yeah, not only that, but the production value in a lot of other countries
Yeah.
has
It's
gone
gone.
way up.
It's gotten
So
better.
yeah,
But good story. I feel like good storytelling is good storytelling. Where
yeah,
like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if this show would have been a hit in Korea or whatever, yeah, the powers that be in Hollywood would have been aware of it, but obviously the regular average viewer in America would not have been aware of it. So an American version of it would have had to have been made. But now with social media, the way things have become more open and whatnot, now this generation now is like more open minded to subtitle stuff, and like you said, the production value has gone up. Storytelling, that they stepped their game up. So it was like where 15 years ago, a popular series like this would have needed an American version of it. Today, it was like, I don't care that this is the Korean version. This is a good ass story, and I
hmm
watched it and I enjoy it, and I don't want an American version of it. This story can lead off into America, but it could also go. They might go to England. They might go to this story can go anywhere. I don't
yeah,
think there needs to be an American. Maybe 20 years from now, maybe Squid Game, a movie could come out from that's based on the series, could happen in the future. But I think that this series could stay exactly in the universe and the way it's at, the way it's in. It could lead off into other countries, and I think they opened the door with that
well,
within this.
it's gonna have to go into other countries. Not saying
Yeah,
it,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
I mean, just because of where, like you're saying, all the billionaires, they're mostly like white, and then I think like maybe Hispanic or Latino
Yeah, some of them, yeah, some from
guys.
America, some
Yeah,
from. Yeah, I
but
feel like those
but
billionaires
they
were from
were,
all over.
yeah. So if he's hunting them down, he's gonna have to, you know, find them in wherever they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which to me is as fool's errand. I'm sorry. These billionaires gave you this
I
money.
agree. I agree.
You are
I
not
thought
going to take them
the
now.
I thought the whole show was great until the last episode, and then I was like, this
Yeah,
is
he's not
bullshit.
going
Like
to win this.
I would have.
Well, you might have
No,
convinced
him
me
winning.
because you might have, but if he finds or stumbles upon, or if that detective is still alive, if that footage got out, there's a chance then there can be, with the UN and stuff, there could be multiple government investigations,
Yeah,
but only if there has to be undisputable evidence of this stuff happening and whatnot for something like that to get triggered. So it all depends on
my
if that evidence got out.
yeah my problem mostly was with I'm gonna look it up on IMDb because there's no way I'm gonna say his name right. Even listening to it, I was just like, I can't. Uh, what's the main guy's name? Is it Seong Ji Hoon? Is that his name?
The star, the main guy.
Yeah, the man. Is this him?
You have to
That doesn't look like him.
look up Squid
I
Game
was
cast.
yeah, like there's no way I could have listened to this and understood what was going on. Just get like their names. I can't. Uh, like it's not like where it's okay, that's John. He's obviously a guy. I can't even tell like the genders from the names. This is how unfamiliar I am with the Korean language.
Was
But so I'm just gonna call him the main guy because for all intents and purposes he is the main character in the show. Even though there were other stars, like he's the first one you meet. He's the one who wins it and ends it. So the problem I had at the end was so in the beginning you meet him and he's a very flawed individual,
right.
right? He's squandering his potential as a human being. He works as a delivery guy. It's his daughter's birthday. He goes to the horse races and takes the money that he borrows from his mom to the horse races. It gambles it. Which means there's no guarantee he's gonna win anything, right?
Yeah.
Like he could have lost all the birthday money after telling his daughter, "I'm gonna buy you something," not and then he wins the money, and then you find out, oh, he's in debt to people. So
Then he got not only it was fucked up, not only did he win, but he got pickpocketed at the same
pickpocketed. But
this
but
guy
then,
had
but
the
then
worst look.
well, he would have lost it anyways because he owed he owed like hundreds of thousands of dollars to his bank and to those guys who came and kicked his ass.
I did the conversion rate for all that.
Yeah, it was like 200,000 to the bank and 100,000 to these other guys.
And the equivalent of the money that he won at the horse race was like $3,000. It was
nothing.
It wasn't a dent in what he owed, but it was. And so it was interesting about like his whole backstory about his gambling debts. It was crazy.
So his back. So the problem I had is his backstory. He's for all intents and purposes he's a bum. He's kind of a shitty person. He's kind of a shitty dad.
Yeah.
He's definitely a shitty son. He ends up joining the games or rejoining the games because you find out his mom has terrible diabetes that she's suffering, but she can't stay in the hospital because he canceled her. He canceled her insurance.
He canceled her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the reason why he stayed living the way he lived, even though he was now rich. He felt guilty because all his decisions, all that justification of doing what he was. If I win this money, I could do this for my daughter. If I win this money, I can do this for my mother. I won the money. I lost. For the most part, I lost it all. He still had his daughter, but a chance with his daughter. But he lost his mom. He lost his best friend. The old man betrayed him. That whole thing took its toll on him because I feel like if you would like what it was like $39 million. If you were to hand him without going through any of those trials and tribulations, if you were to hand him all of that money, he probably would have found a way to squander it.
He probably would have gambled it away
the very next day.
Yeah.
But because he went through all that shit, he's gonna that money. Like the bank was like, dude, you're a new millionaire. You why don't you put your money in these savings? Like the bank was like, what the fuck? Where are you?
But he was still kind of squandering it too. Up until he got that card.
He wasn't spending it. He wasn't doing much with it at all.
But he would, and that's what I'm saying, wasting it. Whether if you have money, that money is power, right?
I mean, it was still accumulating interest, but it wasn't accumulating a lot.
But I mean, he was wasting it in the sense that he wasn't putting it to good use, right? Whether for fun or for helping people out.
He was broken. He was after that.
So this is my problem I have with his character development or whatever you want to say is he starts out as this real shitty dude, but then he joins the game and all of a sudden he's a real good dude that cares about other people. Not saying that he wasn't capable of sympathy or anything before, but they I feel like they wanted to make him such a good guy at the end. And this is something that they do in movies. So like characters like Batman, like, right. Why does Batman not carry a gun? Why doesn't Batman kill anybody? Even though a lot of people view, execution or the death penalty as just, right. Like, oh, this dude's bad, kill him, just get rid of him. Right. Like a lot of people have no problem with that on their moral compass, but a lot of, I don't know if that's just an American thing, but a lot of our, writing that we do for good people, one thing we do to make them extra good is to make them feel guilty when having to do something, violent, and so he, like at the end, for me, where it started breaking apart was he's at the end. So his friend from home had betrayed him countless times, starting with the rice game where with the shapes, because his friend could have told them. His friend knew what the game was, right? That's why his friend picked the triangle, and that's why he was like, when he knew that he picked the umbrella, he was like, oh God, I'm nothing, right? Like even though they weren't competing against each other, he fucked his teammates over, and there wasn't. I didn't even see even from a competitive standpoint, I don't see why he wouldn't have told them all to pick triangle. Like there was no, because at that point they didn't, unless he wanted as many people to die as possible.
Right.
But that to me didn't make sense. But it was at that point you knew that he didn't have his back, that he was willing to let his friends die, right? And then he
And you mean
betrayed
and you're saying this is you talking about the star, right? The main guy.
the
Or the main guy's friend.
the main guy's friend,
Yeah. That ass
what
that
did he
asshole,
call
yeah.
the pride of
Yeah,
wherever they
yeah.
came from. So that was the guy he was competing against at the end, and you knew that guy he had betrayed him at that instance. He betrayed him. Um, Pretty much every other game he did something to betray him. Maybe not in the tug of war. He didn't do anything bad there, but then he slit the girl's throat. He pushed the other guy into the glass. He did all these other things, and yeah, the pushing the guy in the glass, he had a good explanation for it. He's like, look, you would have been dead if I didn't push that guy into
Yeah.
the glass.
Because
So
I thought
yeah,
when he picked number 16 to walk across the glass, I was like, dude, you're lucky you didn't pick number one because you'd be dead right now.
yeah, yeah.
But then his friend was logical and necessary all the way to the end, even though he was doing all that fucked up stuff.
He was logical, but he still
It was immoral. Yeah.
The marble game, he stole the marbles from the other guy
Yeah.
and gave him a bag of rocks. Like he was a terrible person and killed the people closest to him, like or had no problem killing them every step of the way. And so I thought it was stupid that at the end they made the main guy feel guilty about killing him or having him die. Because
Well, I feel like
instead
he knew he wasn't going to be able to win anyway. He had his ankle bitten off. He wasn't going to be able to stand
no,
up.
no. He walked over to the squid head.
Mhm.
All he had to do was take one more step, and he would have won the game. And the guards would have shot his not friend, because I wouldn't consider him a friend at that point. But he's like no. Instead, he's like, I'm not going any further. In fact, I want to vote to end this right now. To me, that's where I'm like, okay, this is stupid. They're trying to paint him. They're trying to make
you think that him redeeming himself was mistimed? Like it came out of, yeah, you're right.
Well, he didn't. I didn't feel like he needed to redeem himself at that point. Revenge isn't always a bad thing, and the guy had betrayed him several times, but instead they wanted to make him seem like extra good or whatever by making him feel so guilty that he couldn't possibly see his friend die. So he was just going to have them both give up the money, even though his friend had done all those horrible things. And so to me, like, I see a lot of movies do this where they're like, we can't put blood on this guy's hands because even though that guy may have done this and this to deserve dying, we can't let the good guy have any blood on his hands.
You're
and
right.
not only that, when he does end up, so he ends up winning the game because the other guy kills himself. So again, he still didn't make any, he didn't do anything himself bad throughout the whole process, right? He, when the guy peed his pants, he gave him his coat. He was loyal to everybody around.
I disagree.
Well, okay, except for cheating the old guy out of the marble.
That was when I was like, all bets are off now. He was willing to cheat the old man, even though the old man called him out on it and all that. He still did it. So nobody's hands was clean.
That was his one sin, but that one I can even see because the guy's gonna die. Like he was wandering around aimlessly. He was gonna die in the next challenge if he went anywhere.
And he didn't know that the old man was tricking him the whole time.
He didn't know the old man was tricking. So to me, like, I still don't even see that as something where you could feel that guilty about it. But then he comes out after winning the prize money, and he's so, like I said, I feel like they did this because they want him to seem like such a moral person by instilling him with an extra sense of guilt, as if that makes someone moral. But really, he was just he was wasting his potential at that point. And I thought that was, for me, that's why I thought first of all, I was mad that they made his mom die, because I'm like, can't they give us one happy part of the ending? Like, she didn't need to die. But then after that, like, he still had his daughter to live for. He could have found some motivation. He could have done something good with his life.
Telling you, like I said in the beginning of this chat,
but
my
motivation
would have been to rub it in my ex's fucking face. After, like, you think your hotshot new husband is all that, calling my letting my daughter call him dad. Now I'm a millionaire now. Now what?
Because he decked the guy for being like,
Like you can't buy my daughter. Yeah, you're not gonna buy my daughter away from me. Like my like that to me. To me, his daughter was his motivation.
Yeah, and so but then they show him, and it's like it's been a whole year after he got out, and he's just.
But he's still broken.
But he's being a bum. He's not just broken. Like you can feel bad. You can be traumatized. You can do whatever. But he was just being a fucking bum. But he's got millions of dollars. Go to therapy. Use some of that money for therapy.
Yeah.
But fucking
focus on your daughter.
Take care of your daughter.
Focus on your kid.
You know?
You want to play another game? Make your ex-wife jealous.
Yeah.
That's the game I would have. So yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're 100% right.
But now, and I'm assuming he was taking the plane to go see his daughter. But now, instead of going to see his daughter and being a good dad, he's going to go on a warpath against these guys.
Against the guys that you thought the odds in this Squid Game was bad. These odds are really against you.
It's going to be worse.
So now it's like this character. You're right. After going through all that stuff, he learned nothing. His daughter, to see his daughter was right. It's right there. It was right there. Just like they said, get on the plane.
Was his motive. That was his first motivation for going there.
Chaos.
His motivation was to keep his daughter in Korea.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, if you can prove that you have the financial means to take care of your daughter, then they can't send her away. So that was his initial thing.
But you saw what happened in the end. Even though at the end he was a millionaire, his daughter wound up in America with the new family. So it really didn't matter where his daughter was. What he was upset with was the fact that if his daughter left, he wouldn't have been able to afford to see her anymore.
Yeah. But now he could do anything.
He can do anything.
He has the money to keep his daughter in Korea. He also has the money to go visit her,
go see her and stuff.
In the States.
But then he he's his own worst enemy.
But he doesn't.
But he lets this whole justice fight thing, like the way when he protested against the job that he lost when he told that story, he let that stuff become more important than the whole thing he was fighting. It's like because I could understand it more if these billionaires were kidnapping, and it's like, for all we know, they are probably doing this, like sex trafficking a bunch of little girls the same age as his daughter. Then it would make more sense
those are the people who should be on a warpath.
Exactly. Then it would make more sense.
Not people who volunteered for a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the end, like the people playing the game were the real villains. They were the ones killing each other. They were the ones who didn't vote to end a game. Yeah. They could have had a majority vote and ended the game at any time. Instead, they continued to play.
It doesn't take much.
They continued to kill each other.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to convince people to do shitty things to each other out of greed and stuff. Yeah, you're right. They did it. The first people that died in round 1 were victims, but round 2 were volunteers.
The rich guys just had the means to fund their competition.
To watch it.
Well, I mean, they built the place, they set the games up, they had the money to set up the stage for these people, but nobody was making them play. They could have ended it. So to me, the real villains were the players as well. I mean, they're all pretty shitty, but the people, if there's anybody you're going to be mad at, it's the people who continued playing, and knowing that they were either going to die or kill other people.
How did you feel about what's her name? Old girl, that was talking all that?
She was the annoying one.
Yeah, she was. I
couldn't stand her.
I hated her and then loved her at the end. Like she was necessary because I felt like as much as cutthroat and brutal as she was, hey, the one thing you have to say is she was honest. She never told you anything. She kept her word. She kept her word from the beginning to end. She's like, I am a piece of shit for right today, and I'm gonna be a piece of shit tomorrow.
And if you betray me, I will kill you.
Yeah, exactly. So as much as she wasn't one of those other characters like the two main guys, like the best friends and whatnot. Like you're the pride of such and such. That best friend guy was fighting for his image. He couldn't go back to being a loser because it was so important to have that image. The other guy, his friend, was fighting for like a chance for his daughter to prove that he wasn't a loser, and he was doing it mainly for his daughter. But what's her name? She was just there. Like I forgot the reason why she said she was there.
Was she the one who had just had a kid, or was that a different lady?
I think she did have a kid, yeah, something like that. But she was like
Because
this
there,
character.
there
She
was
was just like
yeah,
I
there's
don't give a fuck kind of a character.
she was annoying, but
But she was
the
annoying
only
but
thing
necessary though.
well the only thing I liked about her was that she was the tool to kill the other asshole.
But at
But
the
other
same
than that,
time,
she was just annoying the whole time.
but she was a realist and a survivor. She was and a hustler. I'm like she made it as far as she did because of her wits and stuff. Like she was like straight. I'm trying to look her up. Player
She had no tact. I'll say that.
Was she player 07? Was she player 070? Was this her? I'm looking up the cast right now. I think that was her. Like her and like that whole thing between her and the that main villain, that gangster guy. His name is I'm looking up his real name is Ho Sung Tae. His character's name was Jong or Jang. Like the tattoo on his neck and everything like that. Like
He was a good character.
he was brutal the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Like he was the epitome of how
Scumbag.
How scumbags like him could still freaking succeed and get far and ahead and stuff. Even all the way to that glass stepping thing. Even at that very moment where he knew, all right, now it's the time for you to put up or shut up. Show us that you're a real leader and stuff. He knew he wasn't a real leader. He was like, screw that. One of y'all guys gonna have to go ahead of me and take the next step for me, or we're all gonna die.
Well, it was never about leading with him. It's just about survival.
It's just by getting that money. And he's like, if I like, this is it. I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna succeed. But the last card that I can play is intimidation. And then his Achilles heel was this hustling, like annoying, like woman. That was crazy to me. Because usually guys like that, I was so mad. I was like, this fucking guy is probably gonna be like the finalist, like the hero or whatever of the story in him. I was getting so upset. I'm glad it didn't turn out that way, but I was so scared. I'm glad that it turned the last two turned out to be who it was. Because it made poetic sense.
Well, that would have been hard to have him as the last guy because he's physically so much bigger.
Yeah,
it would have been unrealistic. They had to have got rid of him.
Even the last three would have been bad to have him as that final three. Could you imagine him sitting at that steak dinner? He's like, the second I finish this steak, I'm killing both of you.
Well, he would have killed them at lights out.
Exactly. So the way it ended was very poetic. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hopeful that they go to another country with the season 2. I'm fascinated where it can go in this universe. I can't wait to see it. Like, final thoughts before I let you go, because I gotta hurry and get out of here. What's your final thoughts on it?
I would put it's one of the best shows I've ever seen, which I almost didn't watch it, so I would be. It's funny because I don't even know why I watched it. It's just kind of there, and I was like,
because we were talking about it on the show.
but I didn't. This was even before. So if I had found out, if I had tried to start watching it when I found out it was going to be on the show, it would have been too late. I wouldn't have finished it in time. There's no way, So I just, by fluke or coincidence, or we'll say by fate, I ended up watching the show for.
Hey, by design. Look, I'll tell you what maybe subconsciously, what might have been a contributing factor to it.
Well, it kept popping up number one.
It kept popping up number one for a reason.
Yeah.
Parasite just became the best picture at the Oscars. It's like stuff like that, like story, like good stories are being told now and whatnot, like you said earlier, from these other countries. So it's like, maybe, hey, for all you know, like maybe it was like I said, to me personally, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have given this show a chance at all. But today, I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Like a good story is still a good story. So I think it transcended past all those other things. Americans not wanting to read subtitles, things like that. It survived it went past all those things. The story was so good. It was like me and you. Subtitles isn't my thing, but for some reason, everybody's talking about it. So you know what?
Yeah.
Let me check it out.
Well, I think that's why I checked it out, as I saw, because initially, like I said, the subtitles was going to be a barrier, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to
I
watch
don't
a
want to
whole
read.
season. Yeah. Well. I mean, I have no problem reading, but it's reading something on a TV like that.
Yeah.
But then I also thought it was going to be a ripoff of one of my favorite
Of
books of all time, the
Battle Royale.
yeah, Battle Royale, which is a Japanese, originally in Japanese, and I think there's two versions of that show. Either way, I saw the movie eventually, but I think that one was in subtitles too. But
Yeah.
the book was way better than the show, but the show was still good. But I thought it was just going to be a ripoff of that. Just when I watched the preview for it, I'm like, oh, they're in a game, they're competing to the death. It's surprise, whatever. So I was like, but it ended up. I'm glad I watched it because it ended up being so different from that. And not only that, it's one of the best. So it wasn't just like Battle Royale. You had a little bit of character development, but it was mostly these people get thrown in the situation, and it's just like you have like the first 50 pages of the book is, or maybe like, no, I think like the first like 25 pages of the book is like an intro back setting, and then immediately from page like 25 or 50, which is pretty early in a book that's hundreds of pages long, immediately it's just death and killing until the end, just like gore throughout the whole thing until the end. And I thought they could have done that with this kind of story, but instead there was so much character development through it, and so much philosophy built into it. And the games brought out different like elements of human psychology, where it's like, okay, what would you do if you're in an individual competition? What if you're on a team? What would how would you do but you don't know what the games are. Okay, now you got to pick a number. So what's the psychology between picking a number for the game? What's the strategy behind winning tug of war? They had all these things in there, along with like human drama and relationship building and morality, where it wasn't just like a show about killing and death. It was a show about like the whole spectrum of human emotion and psychology and game theory.
Yeah.
Like, and done scripted and done super well, super intelligently. It was a whole package show. So I think it's deserving of being viral. And I'm super, super glad I watched. I would recommend it to just about
anybody.
Anyone.
Yeah, to anybody.
And anybody who's got a stomach for it.
And I would honestly, I would probably recommend it to anybody. Like if I were to speak to this is the type of show and like those types of movies where it can convince a person who, like, just like you said, me and you, I necessarily wouldn't want to watch something that's subtitled or from another country. This is the type of story that if like you can convince people who are like, that's not my cup of tea. But once you see the passion behind people when they explain it, like, no, I'm telling, like, that's the thing that usually convinces guys. I'm telling you. That's the thing we always say to each other. I'm telling you, you gotta watch it. Like it's one of those stories. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, there is they do have it. I saw the option to have it dubbed in English, but I still.
What? Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah. So if that is an absolute deal breaker for somebody, you can still watch it with the English dub.
I did listen to it in English subtitles. I did listen to it dubbed. Yeah.
There was just something about listening to it in Korean that made it the acting and the dialogue just like worth reading the subtitles.
I didn't look into
the way they say things.
I listened to it English dub, thinking that for America that was the version for me, because I don't mess with the settings. That was the version that it gave me. I didn't think to check to see if there was a just Korean dub version where I could just force it, because I probably would have listened to it in Korean and read. I probably would. Maybe I'll go back and listen to it.
Oh wait, so you listened to they were speaking English
when I played on my account, when I played it on Netflix, when I played it was already defaulted at an English dub setting, but the subtitles were still there. So I assumed that's the way they presented it in America.
Oh, dude, go back and rewatch it in the. I mean, it's
because I watched the movie Parasite. And I listened to the Korean version and I read the subtitles, and I still enjoyed it. And I probably and now that you said that, I didn't think to check, but I assumed that was the American version, the American dub. But if I watch the season again, I'm gonna go back and listen to it in the original format and just read the subtitles.
And their voices are probably going to be different too.
Because
you're going to hear the original actors' voices.
Yeah, the original voice, they're guaranteed going to be different. But a lot of people don't know this, and they don't think about this. Like when so guys, if you're watching this, I know this was a long episode, but if you're watching this all the way to the end, if people have said, Americans have said that like in acting, when you watch something that's dubbed, I mean that American voiceover actor can only do so much. I mean, even though you don't understand the language that the actor is speaking, it's not a perfect translation. You're not getting the full acting. Because the English dub that you're hearing could be so off from you might think that the acting might be cheesy because you're hearing a voice that's not really their own. But when you listen to their real voice, then you might have more of appreciation of the acting that they're giving you. And and I'm gonna admit it, when a lot of scenes that I watched, I felt like this was a great scene, but because I was listening to it dubbed, it took something away from it. That's why I'm thinking I'm gonna go back and watch it again, because I feel like I lost something in a scene that was probably very, very powerful. It was probably diluted a little bit because I was listening to an English voice from a guy in a studio just reading a script like, oh my God, I'm fighting for my daughter. I don't feel like he was really giving emotions. I don't feel like he was giving that range and that emotion versus the actual actor who was really getting into his character fighting for his daughter. So I'm gonna go back and listen. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna listen to the Korean version.
And this can be an interesting one to watch twice now that you know the twist and you know what role the old man really plays. Because you can go back and watch it and see his facial expressions, knowing that he was, the creator of the games.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. and maybe it would be, add a certain element of creepiness to it.
He might now be one of my favorite villains of all time. Now that dude was sinister. And for Halloween, I'll say this before we end it. One character who fits perfectly, if there was a crossover, this would never happen. The one character that fits perfectly with this whole series was as if Jigsaw went to Korea and was
he's the Korean Jigsaw.
I want to play a game. Like this was this version of Jigsaw was perfect. I don't know why there was some parts of the series where I was like, why do I feel like Jigsaw is gonna pop up on that screen in any moment? Because the rules were very similar to Saw.
Yeah,
there was a lot of Saw, but I could just be over thinking it. But it was an interesting show. But hey, that's Squid Game was awesome. I recommend it if you're on the fence of watching it. I don't know if you haven't seen Squid Game and you watch this spoiler review talk about it, what the fuck are you thinking? but hopefully maybe if you didn't see it, maybe we convinced you to watch it. And I recommend it. I'm gonna recommend it to anybody that I talk about it. I'm glad that I had this chat to go over it. So before we sign off, you want to let people know where they can find you online and reach out to you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Jameson Everett Art. So on Instagram it's Jameson_Everett_art. And then I also have a YouTube channel called Infamous Maximus where I'm adding more videos. So either of those places.
Awesome. And that'll do it on our first official 3-hour episode of Talking Through the Medias. And
only 2 movies, and we went 3 hours.
We went 3 hours. So we had
someone stop us.
When we said that this channel was called Talking, we wasn't lying. Well, it was a good conversation. So yeah, I had fun with it. Maybe one of these weeks I'll go back to the 30-minute episodes I promised, but it was still a great talk. I'd rather have a go too long than to be too short and not mean anything to anybody.
That's what she said.
But hey, you beat me to it. But guys, you know where you can find me. I'm Chris. You can find me Chris W. Fagan on all the social medias. And if you want to reach out to us, put your questions, comments, concerns, your thoughts, speculations, anything that we talked about Squid Game, from what we talked about earlier with Amanda Castrillo from TikTok when we talked about Venom 2. Let there be carnage. Put it in the box below. Share your thoughts. But if you're probably watching this right now, you're probably watching the segmentized version of it where it's just Squid Game. So let us know what other Netflix or what other streaming show that we should talk about. Hey, I'm in the middle of watching Doom Patrol. So if there's a series that I can convince you into watching, James, I'm gonna tell you. I don't know if you have HBO Max.
Yeah.
Check out Doom Patrol. Let me explain to you what Doom real quick. Here's what I've heard that Doom.
Oh no, we're gonna hit the 4-hour mark.
We're gonna hit the 4 hour. No, in a couple seconds. Let me briefly describe. If Doom Patrol is based on a DC comic book on these very weird and interesting, complex comic book characters, and when they made this series, I was like, I don't know anything about Doom Patrol. There's some hardcore Doom Patrol fans. And let me tell you something. They were right when they were excited about the fact that there was a series coming out. Here's how I would explain Doom Patrol to you. Imagine an architect who imagine if Kevin Smith, the director, Kevin Smith, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, you know those movies, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin Smith. Those are his movies. Okay. Imagine if Kevin Smith built a house. And the interior, now he was in charge of building the house. Now, remember those movies that I explained. Now, but the interior of the house, everything that was going into this house, was the person in charge of the interior design was Shakespeare. Imagine a house that Kevin Smith built, but the interior was Shakespeare. That is Doom Patrol. This whole show. The exterior is ridiculous, but everything you get within it, the character development, the story, the drama, Shakespeare. That is Doom Patrol. That's the best description I can give you for it. So
I feel like I've seen a trailer for it because I'm looking at the picture right now on IMDb, and I'm like, I recognize the Iron Dude with the red eyes,
Brandon Fraser.
I'm like, I feel like I've seen. That's Brendan Fraser.
Yes. That alone should be like, oh, what the hell? Brandon Fraser cranked up to the max, to level 10. Everything that you've ever seen Brandon Fraser in, he's been at a level 3. This character, he's at a 10. Like,
no way.
I'm telling you, F-bombs are crazy on this show. I am telling you. Imagine a house that Kevin Smith built with Shakespeare as the interior decorator. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm about to go back. Now that I'm about to end this, I'm about to go watch another episode. It's nuts. Watch it. I watch it. I guarantee. If you watch episode 1, 2, or 3 from the first, you're gonna get hooked.
But don't take my word for it.
Yeah,
go read a book.
I'm not only he said I'm not only the president. I'm also a client. All right, guys. That'll do it for us. The first 3-hour episode of Talking to the Media. I had fun. Appreciate you, Jameson, for sticking with me this whole time. I'm probably gonna go have another burger and go call it a night, man. I appreciate you, man.
You have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Until next time, guys. Hey, peace.
Our supporters help make all this content possible, so make sure you check out our Patreon page so you can help us bring you the content you want.
Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal. Yo. Turned up on another level. Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal. Blah.